Well, hello there. Today I want to talk about a game I like called Satisfactory. Firstly, let me tell you what Satisfactory is. Satisfactory is a first-person open-world factory building game with a crazy amount of exploration and combat. You can play with your friends, explore an alien planet, create multi-story factories, and make a bunch of conveyor belts. That's just kind of what their Steam thing says, to be quite honest with you. So let me tell you about my introduction to the game. I had a friend that told me about the game, and like, hey, we should try this. At the time I couldn't really afford the game, so he bought it for me, and I was kind of skeptical. I don't get into many single player games, and this is mainly I'd consider a single player game, although you can play with your friends. So we created a world, and I'm kind of getting very immersed into the game in a way. The world around you is so immersive and so colorful and creative. It's like stepping onto a new planet, in which you technically are, and it's very satisfying to almost see a game that looks so perfect nowadays, especially since we don't get that feeling with most games now. First experience after really downloading it and kind of starting, I guess you would say, my own world, I was a little overwhelmed with all this different stuff you could do, but I very quickly got the hang of it. And again, I talk about the immersiveness. You're in outer space on a new planet. Again, like, you don't see this in most really games nowadays, because it's always unfinished. This game has been in early access since forever. I could be wrong. I think 2018 or maybe a little bit earlier, but I do believe maybe 2018. Let me talk about my first solo world. Now, I did a world with my friend, and it was pretty cool, but I felt like I needed to do a solo world to kind of learn everything in a way. So my first solo world, I ended up with over 100 hours, and again, this is my first world. And, I learned so much about the game, and I also streamed the game as well. And from streaming, I was able to connect with other people in the community. One guy, he streamed on Kick, his name is Gator, and he was real cool with showing me and telling me different things about the game. Like, they have a website where you can, kind of see where things are throughout the map. And it was very cool to see that the game had different resources to make it very easy to, if you're brand new, to get an introduction into it. And the community was very opening to new people. And that's something you don't really see with many new games as well. And so, yeah. Now, let's talk about the early access part. Again, I'm very new to the community. The game is still in early access, but, I rewatched some of the dev streams, and, I haven't watched any of them live, but from rewatching the latest one, it seems like they have good plans for the game. It seems like the full game is coming out very soon. They didn't give a date on it. I'm very excited for that, because it seems like it's going to bring a bunch of new stuff that, we don't have right now, and that is something I am looking so forward to, because just what they have now in the early access portion, I have been so immersed in. I can only imagine what they have coming for us to play, and I can imagine getting another 100 hours on another world. And I do have a second world, by the way, a little off topic from what we're talking about with the early access. I do have a second world I'm working on, and you'll see it in this video. The second world is the main one that you'll be looking at through this video, and then when it comes to nighttime, that is my first world actually, and that'll be kind of towards the end of the video. So you kind of see the progression between the first and second world of all the stuff I learned. Now, I am looking forward to a story mode, and that should be very interesting. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I've heard there's possibly a story mode, and this is just from what I've heard from in the community, and this me is very interesting to think about, because this is literally a factory game, and I'm looking forward to see how they bring this apart, because the whole portion of the game is, hey, you're being contracted to go to this planet and build this and hunt for this and stuff like that for a company. And I think that's really cool. And to have all this in early access, yes, it's been multiple years for early access. Guess what? Me personally, I would rather wait for a game to be fully developed than rush the developers to have an unfinished game We have too many of those right now. And I think it's really good for developers to be able to, slowly roll out and bring a polished finished game. And I really hope that the finished game lives up to early access. I really do, and I think it will. I have very high hopes. So yeah, now we're wrapping up this video. Let's kind of go over some of the stuff I kind of talked about. So it's a factory game. You can play with multiplayer. You can play solo. It's still in early access, and I've had fun. It might not be the game for everyone, I will say that, but I am someone that comes from playing multiplayer games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, and I'm not used to a game like this, and I was able to pick it up so quickly. It was just very immersive. I know I keep saying immersive, but it was so immersive to me, and I played tremendously more than my friend that introduced me to the game. And so yeah, and it could be repetitive to some, kind of like a lot of other games. It could get repetitive at some point because you're just constantly upgrading, constantly working. But sometimes you do need to take a break. I've taken a few week break, but I'm getting back into the game. And yeah, it's so, I don't know how to explain. Like, it almost, if you look at the video, you kind of see the work I did. And I'm still working on that second world, and maybe I'll do a third where I take what I learned from the second one and I take and do another one. So yeah, I think you should give it a try. And yeah, thank y'all for tuning in, and I hope this video suits you well. See you next time.